Hey, what's up, everybody? So we are live. Happy Friday evening to everyone. I am just settling in for a nightcap and figured I'd share it with y'all. I'm just about to have a sip of this Elijah Craig bourbon. This is a small batch, but it's a store pick 11-year-old. And after that, I'm going to crack open a fresh bottle of Ardbeg Ten and enjoy a sip of that. It's been a while since I've had an Ardbeg Ten, and so I thought tonight would be the right time to do it as, well, do you ever really need a reason? But for now, a few more sips of this bourbon as I kind of get along down here. So how's everyone? Oh, Donner Pass is here already. Hey, Donner Pass, how you doing? Good chatting with you earlier. I got to remember what you said now. You got your hands on the Glengarry 12. I think you mentioned. Super cool. Oh, having some Deanston 12. Nice. Is that the Virgin Oak? I've actually not had any of the Deanston stuff. I have a bottle of, what is it now? It's Deanston. It's 20. It's the Deanston 20. But it is, and it's like an Oloroso. It's like an Oloroso sherry single malt, if I'm not mistaken. I have not cracked it open yet, but I am looking forward to doing that sooner than later. It looked like I ended up finding it at a really good price. I think the Four Dummies had it as one of their favorite pours of, I want to say it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't quite recall if that's what they were doing or not. I think that the 20-year-old, boy, I think must have been upwards. I usually don't like to buy something really old from a distillery without actually trying some of their younger stuff first. I like to kind of get a feel for it. But in that case, I found it, it's one of those things where you found it at a really good price, and it was like, I got to just do this. Well, I did. Put that back there. No, haven't tried that yet. Do have a sample of the 20 that Captain 3D gave me. Oh, no kidding. That's awesome. Yeah, I think the Dummies did that. Pete says, yo, hey, Pete. I think the Dummies did that 20-year-old. I want to say it was last year. And they were singing its praises. And so, it was one of those that I thought, well, if you find something at a good price, you just got to pull the trigger or you end up regretting it. So I haven't had a chance to try any of those Deanstons yet, but, I'm going to jump straight into the 20-year-old first, it looks like. Donner Pass, Deanston 2008, 9-year-old Dew cast, red cast. Oh, wow. That sounds really good. You mentioned you're having a 12. What, is that the 12 Virgin Oak? I see that one actually somewhat frequently. In fact, I was out earlier this week hunting around southern New Jersey trying to find some decent spots, and I actually ran into that 12-year-old Virgin Oak quite a few times. I've not had, obviously, like I was saying, I haven't had that one either, but would love to hear more about it. That's one I've just not had. Virgin Oak is an NAS. I haven't had that yet, but it's supposed to be good. Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that was an NAS. Okay. So there's a 12, there's a Deanston 12 and a Deanston Virgin Oaks. They're not one and the same. Okay. I must have seen both of them at some point and got them confused. Awesome. I'll tell you, I evangelize the Elijah Craig stuff, and I'll tell you, man, if you live in a state, Donner, I don't recall where you are, or if you're a big bourbon head for that matter, but I'll tell you, I don't think you can get a better. I don't think you can get a better bourbon value-wise on the market than this Elijah Craig, these store picks. This one here, oh, you're in California. Oh, man, you're in luck, buddy. Because, so this is from a place called Randall's Wine and Spirits they're in Missouri and Illinois. This is an 11-year, 11-month. They only did 114 bottles of it. It's proofed at 128.5. So whatever that is in ABV. So it's basically a single barrel. This was like $32. Come on. A $32, basically 12-year-old Elijah Craig. You just can't go wrong. They've done some 12-year-olds too that were explicitly, they're saying this is 11. Obviously, they missed it by a month. But their stuff is, that one especially, these you can just get at a steal. The Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which is one of my favorites, the prices can be kind of all across the board with those. Donner Pass. Okay, California. Yeah, you're lucky, Donner Pass. That's one of those states where you can actually have things shipped to you. I miss that. When I lived in Washington, D.C., I used to get stuff sent from me from California all the time because they had so many good bottles. Pete says, love the barrel. Oh, yeah, definitely. The barrel proof is great. The Elijah Craig, the barrel proof, I think the last one I haven't been able to find the second batch that was released in 2019 yet. But the first one, it was like batch A, the one in January, A119. I think that was probably the best I've had yet. Donner Pass says the whiskey exchange in the UK is dangerous. Funny you mentioned that. I'm going to be in London. I'm going to be in London about this time next week, hoping to visit the highly exalted whiskey exchange. Be over there for just about a week. I'm going to be there and in Dublin. I'm going to swing over to Jameson, stop into Teeling as well. Both of which should be pretty fun. But yeah, I wonder, Donner, if you get anything shipped to you within California. I don't know where you are, of course, but there's a couple places if you haven't heard of, I'd happily tell you about. One of them is Third Base Wine and Spirits. Recall where they are. I want to say they're maybe in Glendale, so right outside Los Angeles. Another one is Remedy. Both of them, they have stupidly good prices. I used to get like Ugadal from Remedy. I shipped to Washington. They were like $53 a bottle or something, which is just silly. Out here, I'm in Philadelphia now, and out here it's, $90. Yeah. Can't go wrong with the Elijah Craig, but I'm going to save some room for this Ardbeg Ten. I don't think I've had an Ardbeg 10 in upwards of a year, and I've been missing it. I love both of them. I love the Ardbeg 10. I love the Lefroy 10. All those entry level kind of Isla peated malts I really like. Maybe not the Kahlua 12 as much. Kahlua 12 is hit or miss for me. It's not one that I go out and seek. I have not had the Port Charlotte, the 10-year-old from Brook-Lottie. Donner passes. Yeah, Remedy is the bomb. Glengoyne 18 for 77. Jesus. That's highway robbery, man. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I think actually before I moved to Pennsylvania, I had done one last order from, it might have been Remedy, it might have been Third Base, I actually don't recall. And I got the Glengoyne 18. I think I got another bottle of the 15. They have the Redbreast 12 cask strength, which is one of my favorite whiskeys ever. I think it was my whiskey of the year last year. They sell it at Remedy for what, like $65 or something? It's stupid. I'm surprised that they can keep stock of everything, and their selection is huge. It's probably the best place online. Have you had the Glengoyne 18? Yeah, Third Base, Donner. They actually sell Ugadal a little bit cheaper than Remedy does. They also do some barrel selections. They don't have a lot of them, but Third Base Wine and Spirits. There's another one called High Times Wine Cellars. That was another good one in California. I used to get from those three, and then there was one other, but it was hit or miss. I don't remember the name of it offhand. But they were, Remedy and Third Base are just primo, man. I mean, best prices you'll ever find. I don't understand it. I don't know how they're able to sell this stuff so cheap in California. And, you know, of course, when you're getting stuff shipped, it would be like, you end up having to pay shipping. But if you order enough, it kind of evens out the price. Yeah. Have you had the Glengoyne 18? I'm actually going to crack one open relatively soon. I've been each month this year, the first review that I've been posting each month, I've been doing an older whiskey, so basically something that's 18 years old or older. And the Glengoyne 18 is going to be, I think that's going to be next. No, I think I have it on my schedule. I've been trying to keep like a system so I can get through all of them in a timely way, but I'm not going to, of course, be able to get it to every 18 I want. I'm going to do the Glengoyne 18. Still this year, I'll do the Glengoyne 18, I think probably in November or December. I'm also going to do the Kalila 18, which is the peated version. So I was able to get a generous sample of that, so I think I'll end up doing that one as well. That should be a good one. But yeah, I have not had the Glengoyne 18 yet. I mean, I loved the 15. Again, Remedy liquor. I got the 15 from Remedy. It must have been, it was less than $60. So, it was just such a great deal. So I'm going to probably, I can't imagine that the 18 is going to be worse. It will probably be just as good. Let's see here. Yeah, Donner said, the Glengoyne 18 is very nice. So they had the Glengoyne 12 for $32. Perfect. Glengoyne 18 will be nice in the winter. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to do that one. Like I said, I'm going to do the Kalila. I'm going to do, in October, I'm going to do Bruichladdich Black Arts. I'm going to do the Black Art 4.1. And the one, spoiler alert, the one that I've just recorded yesterday and will post for September will be Lefroy 25. So you might want to check that one out. That was a fun review to do. I got lucky and was able to run into 25-year-old Lefroy that was at a price that was actually affordable, which is just obscene considering how hard it is to score any of those at a decent price these days. But, you only live once, so when you get the opportunity, you jump on it. I've actually seen some postings going on about a Lefroy 16-year-old that's supposed to be coming on the market. I don't know if it's going to be available in the States or not, but somebody was posting in a whiskey group that I follow on Facebook called Scotch Addicts. He was posting that he's getting, I think he was in the UK, but he's seeing on Amazon there, because apparently you can buy alcohol on Amazon in the UK. He was seeing that there's a Lafroig 16-year-old that's coming online over there. So hopefully we'll see that in the States. I haven't heard, if any of y'all have heard if there's going to be, if this 16-year-old Lafroig is going to be available anywhere in the United States, do share, because that's something that will definitely be on my radar. Lafroig is probably my favorite distillery, so I definitely want to get my hands on that. Our pass says, when you are in the UK, if you are bringing back bottles, consider Ardbeg 12 natural cask strength sherry. It's very good. Looks like Coke in a glass. I've not had any of their stuff. I'll tell you what I do have on my list so far. I'm hoping, I'm going to definitely stop in the duty free, but I'm going to stop at Jameson. And apparently they have a distillery-only release of a Jameson 12-year-old. So I think I'm going to pick that up. And I also heard that in the duty-free shops, there is now a Lagavulin 10-year-old, which is, I think it just came out probably 2 to 3 weeks ago. So hoping that I'll, by chance run into that. That seems interesting. It's cool that they're doing an age statement release into the duty-free shop. You don't see that too often. I think Highland Park did something. It was called like Wings. It was a 16-year-old Wings of the Eagle or something. I don't know. They have goofy names for all their stuff now. I think Highland Park did a 16-year-old release into duty-free with the age statement. But you don't see that, pretty frequently. I think when I went through duty free last year, I grabbed the Bunnahabhain Krugvana, which is like 50% ABV peated Bunnahabhain, and I grabbed the Lafroig 4 Oak, which was not good. So you all can avoid that. But there's also a Lafroig PX cask. It's an NAS, but there's a PX sherry cask Lafroig in duty free too. That it's going to be hard for me to pass up duty free Lafroigs. It's just going to be hard. But yeah, so this Lagavulin 10 is on my radar. I have not had any of the Herradura at all. So I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about that. It's a cask strength sherry. That sounds good. In general, man, that Elijah Craig is good. In general, my disposition is to pick up cask strength over standard releases whenever I can. I just feel like the cask strength stuff always, it's not necessarily always like more alcohol equals more flavor, but I feel like it's the case most of the time. Especially like I think there's a Glen Farkless 105, just like the cask strength Glen Farkless, which I would love to try. Especially sherries. I cask strength sherry stuff is always just really good. French Keister says, "Evening, Rabbit." Hey, French, how are you? Glad you can join us. Just having a little bit of a nightcap, maybe a little bit more, with some Elijah Craig small batch. It's a 11-year-old, nearly 12-year-old barrel pick, and it's excellent. And after that, I'll be getting into something a little bit more peated. Donner passes, yes, more barrel juice and less water. Yeah, exactly. And, the thing with the barrel proof stuff, I find, is that, it gives you the ability to control it more in terms of, how to meet it to match your flavor. The 40%, If it's 40%, you can't add much water to it before it basically goes flat. With something like this, you know, this is, what did I say this was at? This is at 128.5 proof. So what, 128 divided by 2, whatever that is. That's 64% ABV, 64.5. Wow. It's basically a bottle of barrel proof. You can just control it more with the water. You can do with it what you want. You know? So you're basically like when you see the price of a barrel proof, you can essentially, you know, do the math. You're getting X amount more if it was bottled at 40%. So you're, you know, effectively getting more juice in your barrel, just like you were saying down there. So yeah, that's usually the way that I try to operate. So if I see good prices on anything that's cask strength, it'll get my attention. Much like this Elijah Craig barrel proof, or this effectively Elijah Craig barrel proof, much like this Elijah Craig small batch did. Cool. We got 4 folks watching. Right on. Love to hear what everybody's drinking on tonight. I know that Donner was getting into some Deanston 12, which is something I've never had, but Deanston, something that's been kind of on my radar, something I've wanted to try for a while. I think that, like I said, the one I run into the most around here is the Virgin Oak. That one I see kind of everywhere, but the 12-year age statement one is not one that I've seen much of. I'll have to keep an eye out for that, Donner. Unless you don't recommend it, of course. But if you have a bottle of it, you probably are liking it. Is that bourbon? Is that bourbon aged? I'm assuming that it is. I don't think all the Deanstons are sherries. What's that say? French. Mr. says Sant. Oh, the Glenmorangie. I like the Glenmorangie Lasanta a lot. In fact, I like most of the Glenmorangie stuff. I don't think I've had a Glenmorangie that I didn't like. Most recently, I did a review recently of the 12-year-old Quinta Ruban, which is it's not the sherry cask, it's I'm forgetting now. It's the port. It's a portwood, which was really good. And now I've found out actually that they have switched from they've got rid of, they're closing, or they're sunsetting the 12-year portwood and have released a 14-year. So that's something I'm going to have to get and, do a review of and kind of see which one I like more. I'm assuming it stands to reason the 14 will be better, but it's an interesting move. I don't know if it's a sign of things to come or not, but more often than not, the situation I seem to notice is that people go from age statements to non-age statements. A lot of distilleries seem to be going more in that direction. I mean, if you think about just Highland Park, they've kept the 12, they've kept their 18, but everything that they put out is NAS. So to see Glenmorangie doing a new portwood age statement that's actually older, increasing the age on their standard release of the port is the Quinta Ruban, which is the portwood. It's kind of an interesting move. I don't know if that says anything about the market or not, but I was a little bit surprised to see that. Donner Pass recently had a peat epiphany. After a year trying, I could taste everything behind the peat in the Shag 10. Yeah, Deeds 12, so I'm going to try it. Oh man, the Shag 10. The Shag 10 is great. I had never heard of Lechag until it was Food Quick. Yeah, it was Food Quick. Food Quick was singing the praises of the Lechag 10. This must have been, God, almost 2 years ago now. I think he did a review of it, or it was like on a live stream where he was just like saying the Lechag 10 was, as he would put it, the cat's ass. So I did go out and get a bottle of it, and I was like, oh hell yeah, this is really good stuff. But I haven't been able to find it since. Man, I should put that on my list. I could do another bottle of Lechag 10 for sure. That's a repeat buy. That stuff was really good. That was really good stuff. Donner, so are you saying that you weren't a peat drinker? You weren't a peated Scotch drinker until Lechag 10 was kind of the one that opened the door for you? Is that what you mean by the epiphany, or is peat epiphany? Okay, that's not like you had. That's not like an expression or anything like that of Scotch. I could taste everything behind the peat in Lechag 10. Okay. Yeah, if you can get your hands on Lechag 10, I noticed. I mean, it's not as heavily peated as like the Lefroy's, but it's really good. And I think it's not even that much more expensive. I think it was like $50 or something like that. If I'm not mistaken. But that was one that's not always easy to find. That's not an easy one to get a hold of. I mean, like, you don't walk into any store and find Lechag 10. It actually was kind of difficult to buy. I think it was something I ended up having shipped to me. Because I couldn't find that anywhere. What's this? Francis Lechag 10 is great. Yeah. Great? Yeah. I think that's fair. I would call it great. Now the other Lechags, which are all like really high age statement, those are a bit difficult to find for sure. I think there's like they have like a 17-year or something. There's like a 42-year. I've never seen any of those out in the wild. Those are ones I just read about online. French says, Keister says Lechag 10 is great. Yep. Donner Pass. No, very overwhelmed by peat. But this was a strong one. I broke through, so now I'm going to try other peated things like Port Charlotte 10. Oh, right on. Well, right on, man. That's awesome. That's super exciting. Peat was not something that I would say. I'm gonna have a little bit more of this bourbon. I don't think the peated stuff is something I would say I was an immediate fan of either. So it's interesting that you kept kind of trying to enjoy it, because I did a similar thing. I think the first one I had was Lefroy 10. No, the first one I had was a Talisker 10, and I couldn't stand it. I thought Talisker was awful. So I immediately pushed that one aside, and then I think I went into another place and I had a Lefroy 10, and I was like, I liked it a little bit more for some reason. I don't know. I mean, it's much stronger in terms of the peat smoke than the Talisker was, but I liked it enough, and I think I just went and randomly grabbed it. I bought a bottle, but they didn't have the 10. They had the quarter cask. So I said, "Oh, the hell with it! I'm just going to spend the money. I'm going to buy one bottle of this Lefroy, see what happens." And I didn't like it that much, and so it sat in my cabinet for a while. Then I went to another bar, and somebody bought me randomly a glass of Talisker 10 again, and it started to click a little bit. I was like, "Ooh!" For some reason that night it was tasting good. I went back home and I got into the quarter cask, and all of a sudden it was like a revelation. I was like, "Wow, this stuff is amazing." So after that, I bought the quarter cask Lefroy was the first peated Scotch. And shortly after, I bought this one, the Ardbeg 10, because I actually had the opportunity to try it at somebody's house, and I loved the Ardbeg 10. So I bought a bottle of that. And then it was like off to the races. And that was, after that, I haven't been able to stay away from peated stuff. I just love it. Downer Pass, I think the lightest one for sensitive people to try is Oban 14. Okay, so that's interesting. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Oban 14 was actually the first single malt I ever bought. But, I didn't recall it being peaty, but you're right that it actually does have some peat in it. So I guess to be totally fair, the first Scotch I ever bought with any peat in it was the Oban 14. But it's quite light. I mean, I remember the Oban 14 being a little bit more. It was fruity. It was briny. There was kind of a saltiness to that one. I like it quite a bit. I haven't had it in a long time, but I've had the Oban Little Bay as well, which is the NAS one that they like do in quarter casks or something like that, which I thought was okay. I have a bottle of the Oban 18. I just haven't opened it. Passes just barely any peat. Yeah, that's right. There's not much peat in that at all. I mean, if there's any, you're right that there is, though. I'm almost positive now that you've got me thinking about it. Let me just look. I'm going to check out distiller.com, which is just a freaking amazing website for questions like this. Yeah, there's definitely a little peat in that, no doubt. Mm-hmm. I have not had the Oban Distillers Edition. That's one that I'd love to get my hands on at some point. The Distillers Edition sounds really, really good. I've also I've seen they have a Game of Thrones one that people were hyping. It was like, I ran into it at a store a few weeks ago. It was like $80. And I was like, I'm not paying that much for an NAS Oban. It was, they don't have that many releases. They have a Distillers Edition. They had, the 14, the Little Bay, the 18, and then that Game of Thrones one. I don't know what else Oban has. I mean, that's a small place, if I'm not mistaken. I think Quig has been over there. He did a video from there, I want to say, when he went and did his trip, and I think that, they don't have a whole lot of releases. Oban 14. That's one that I've seen just going up in price a lot. I think when I got my first bottle of Oban 14, it was like $50, $55. I mean, that must have been 2016, 2017. 50, 55. I've seen that thing up towards of $80 now, which is just like amazing. For a 14-year-old Oban to spend that much money. Price is getting crazy, y'all. French Keiser says Oban DE is tasty but pricey. Yeah. Oh, Distillers Edition. Yeah, I haven't had that one. I would love to I'd like to try to get my hands on all the Distillers Editions at some point. I've only actually had a handful. I've had the Lagavulin Distillers Edition, which is amazing. That one is just fantastic. It's like it's a Pedro Ximénez finish. Really, really, really good stuff. And then there is I've had the Dalwhinnie. No, it's not the Dalwhinnie. I've had the Talisker. The Talisker Distillers Edition is primo. That one was really, really good. I'm trying to think. There's a Klein Leash, which I've never been able to find. The Klein Leash Distillers Edition. I don't know if you've had that, any of y'all. I think there's like a whole list of, because they're all from Diageo. I'm gonna look it up right now. Oh, so yeah, here it is. Here's the whole series. Let's take a look here. Wow, there's quite a bit. Okay, maybe I won't be trying to collect all of these. Oops. I'm going to take a look here and see if I can get the whole list to come back up. I was looking at whiskey.com, but whiskey.com is not always the easiest to navigate website. Oh wow, there's actually quite a bit. So wow, so Diageo says it started with 6 so-called classic malts: Cragganmore, Dalwhinnie, Glenkinchie, Lagavulin, Oban, and Talisker. Over time, some have been added and also dropped. Kalila was added in 2016. Clynelish, although the distillery was dropped in 2012. Royal Lochner was added. They have a distiller's edition. Okay, so there's like 7 or 8. Not as many as I thought. Cragganmore, Dalwhinnie, Glenkinchie, Lagavulin, Oban, Talisker, Kalila, and then you might be able to find a Clynelish. So, yeah, for some reason I thought there was many more than that. Interesting. I don't think I've ever had any of the. I've never had Glenkinchie in period or the Cragganmore, so I still have some ways to go on that. Interesting. Okay. There you go. So that's your list of Diageo Distillers Editions, if anybody ever gets their hands on any of those. Let's see here. I think it goes into blends, a small distillery. Oh, you're talking about Oban. Oh, like flora and fauna. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, those are ones I don't think I've ever been able to find. So, I mean, I don't think I've seen a Cragganmore Distillers Edition in the wild. I don't think I've seen. The only one I ever seen from Cragganmore is the 12. Dalwhinnie might be interesting. I thought the Dalwhinnie 15 was pretty good. It was like liquid honey. It was like a good change of pace, single malt. I don't recall the last time I actually have seen the Dalwhinnie Distillers Edition. The Lagavulin, though, it's not. It's an NAS. I mean, that's the only thing that's, it would be awesome if it had an age statement, but I don't know how old the Lagavulin Distillers Edition is, but boy, is it good. It reminds me in a lot of ways of Ugadal from Ardbeg. And speaking of Ardbeg, we have some Ardbeg 10 here, a fresh new bottle, and I think it is past time that we crack this open. Ardbeg 10. So this one, yep, 46 ABV. So the Lafroig 10 is 43, is chill filtered, and has color added. This one, non-chill filtered, I don't think they add color to it either. Does it say? So it doesn't say. I thought Ardbeg 10 was really clear that it was natural color. Huh. Interesting. Guaranteed 10 years old, it says. I wonder if they've subtly changed their record. They wouldn't have started adding color. Non-chill filtered, sea spray, tarry rope, emits smoky intensity. No mention of the color though. Huh. That's weird. Well, let's open this. I suppose we'll be able to see once it's in the glass if it looks like they've added color. But I always thought that they were really clear about this on their labeling at some point. So that's a little bit disheartening. I really hope that they haven't started adding color to their stuff. I don't see why they would. All right, here we go. Oh. Ardbeg 10. It's a piece of art. No, they haven't added color. That looks the same. That looks like it's always looked. Interesting that they don't say it on there, though. I've grown increasingly skeptical of any bottle that I pick up. If it doesn't say it on there, like if I have to go on the internet to find out whether or not they're adding color to their whiskey, it's like, come on. And especially for Ardbeg, who's always made it a point to, talk about how they don't chill filter, etc. Oh, let me see what the chat here. Think the Giagio Flora and Fauna collection. It's not in the U.S. We'd have to order from the UK. Oh, I'm not familiar with what that is, Donner. Aquavite has a video about it. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. Nice pop, yeah, right? That's always a good sign. If I'm not mistaken, Ralphie had this as his whiskey of the year. Not last year, it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I thought that was a little interesting that he went for the Ardbeg 10. Considering he's, he doesn't love a lot of Ardbeg stuff. He doesn't. He has some really early reviews of the Corey Vrecken and the Ugadal, but he won't touch NAS stuff now or whatever. So he's never done a re-review of those, which I would love to see. But so far, like I said, this is my first bottle of Ardbeg 10, probably in a bit over a year. And so far, so good. I am not noticing any differences in it. It's exactly what I expected. Tar. Whew. Legs on that thing are amazing. Doesn't look like they've added color. Sweetness too, though. There's like vanilla underneath. I think it's all ex-bourbon. This is great. Donner passes. Seems like the Pete heads hold the Ardbeg 10 as the gold standard. Yeah. Ardbeg 10, Lagavulin 16, and Lafroig 10 seem to be the three kind of standard. Talisker 10 to some degree, but it's not as heavily peated, I don't think. Those are the big three. Yeah, I think there's some really great videos on YouTube of people doing the Lafroig 10 versus Ardbeg 10, taste tests and all this. The Lagavulin 16 is kind of, because it's so much older and a bit more complex. It's just it's more difficult to do a direct comparison between the Ardbeg and the Lafroig. But as far as the specs go, on paper the Ardbeg 10 just looks better to me. So it's 46%. It's natural color. I mean, it looks like it is. It's non-chill filtered, whereas the Lafroig 10 in the U.S. It's 43% ABV. It's chill filtered, and it has color added. So, on paper, it seems like the Ardbeg 10 would be the one, most folks would gravitate towards if you're, a discerning peat head. But I personally, I like the Laphroaig 10 a lot. I couldn't tell you which one I like more. But I haven't had a sip of the Ardbeg 10 in a long time, so we're going to do it right now. Sláinte. Yep. That's a familiar flavor. You just can't mess with Ardbeg 10. It's great. Really good mouthfeel, peppery, heavy peat smoke. It's like, it's so vegetal, earthy, like damp wood. You get that like a bit of saltiness, like sea breeze. There's a little bit of citrus in it too. And there's like a chocolate. It's just great. It's just a great pour. And, you find some, $45 to $50. It's held its price pretty well, which is great. Because everything else in the Ardbeg range, I found, it's really pricey. The Uigeadail is, probably my favorite whiskey ever. But that's in most places other than in Donner Pass's area of California, where it's $60. I mean, Uigeadail is $90, and the Corey Vrecken is usually more. It's like 95 to sometimes over $100. And I've had all three. I think the Uigeadail and the 10 are the two from Ardbeg that are worth it. The Corey Vrecken is good, but I don't think it's measurably better than the 10 so as to pay double. I mean, I just don't think. I think it's like Corey Vrecken is one of those that tried at a bar once in your life, but I wouldn't go so far as to pay, $100 for a bottle of it when you can get the 10. Oh, it's great. It's just great. The Uigeadail, worth it. But so the Uigeadail is basically finished in sherry. So it's an NAS, but I think it's majority Ardbeg 10 in there at least. Maybe even older stuff. And then, yeah, it's got this sherry finish. It's just divine. The Corey Vrecken is in some European oak and other stuff I don't recall, but it's really spicy. It's one of the most intense whiskeys I've ever had, if not the most intense whiskey I've ever had. I remember when I got my first Corey Vrecken, and pouring that, I was just blown away. It was so intense. It's good. Oh, and there's the other one that Ardbeg has, the one they came out with a couple of years ago. Shit. Anno. The Ardbeg Anno. I don't recommend that one. That one, I think, for folks just getting into pizza, Donner Pass, Ardbeg Anno might be one that you would want to consider. It's a little bit lighter. I don't want to undercut it. It's a quality pour. But I don't think it's not as intense as the 10, and it's certainly not as intense as the Uigeadail or the Corey Vrecken. So the Anno might be one, if you find it for a decent price, might be a good next step for you, for Pete. If you want to try an Ardbeg or, without jumping into the deep end, if you want to kind of ease your way into it, Colila 12, Ardbeg Anno, Laphroaig, I don't know if there is a Laphroaig. I don't think there's a Laphroaig that's going to, that kind of walks, an introductory Laphroaig, what would it be? Select, maybe. I don't know. I've never had the Select. It's like an NAS, cheaper than the 10, but I don't know. Meanwhile, yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I'm a little bit surprised and nowhere on the Ardbeg 10 does it say natural color. Maybe I'm just blind, but I don't see it anywhere on here. It's interesting. I mean, they prominently say it's non-chill filtered, but it doesn't say anything about color. God. I mean, if that was colored, you would know it. It just doesn't look like there's any color in this. So we're just going to go ahead and assume that despite their questionable labeling of this, I'm going to just assume that this does not have any color added. Oh, like the Ardbeg 10, there is enough other flavors to miss with the smoke. So you've had the Ardbeg 10. I would be interested to hear what your, as you get into more peat donner, what your comparison is between the Ardbeg 10 and the Ardbeg 10. I think they're both worth trying. I really do. I think that you should try both of them if you get the opportunity. But the NO might be one that would be a good intermediate between the 10 and between going straight into the 10. I think the Ardbeg. I don't think the Ardbeg Select is any less peaty than the Ardbeg 10. I just think that it's man, this chair is squeaky. I just think that it's just cheaper because it's an NAS. I don't think that they do like the NO has its own aging. Like they do something, specific with it. I just don't think that the 10, or pardon me, the Select, I don't think they do anything specific with it. I think it's just an NAS. French says I'll take Ardbeg 10 all day. Fair enough. Like I said, I think that they're both great. As far as like distilleries go, Ardbeg is my favorite distillery. I think I've had more Ardbegs than I've had anything else. I've liked more Ardbegs than I've liked anything else. I really enjoy the Ardbeg Carchus, the Carchus line, where each year they're putting out something new. I think the Carchus line is far superior to the Ardbeg Committee releases. Well, caveat, the recent Ardbeg Committee releases, specifically the drum, which I think is not worth the money. The Grooves was okay. The Grooves was the one last year, but the one before that was the Kelpie. I've heard mixed reviews on that. I've never had the Kelpie, and the one before that was Dark Cove, and Dark Cove was everybody loves the Dark Cove. I have a bottle of not the committee release, but the standard release of the Dark Cove. I have had the committee release. It was really good. I don't think it's better than the Ugadal or even the Corey Frecken. I think it was good, but for the price, maybe at the time you would have bought the Dark Cove over Corey Frecken, but now I think that the hype is a little bit inflated. It's good. It's the best one that they've done, at least in the last 5 years, I think. But I just don't think it's, like I said, I think the Ardbeg 10 and the Ugadal are That's Ardbeg. Everything else is kind of like, try the grooves. Maybe try the Kelpie if you want. The drum is, you can pass on that, in my opinion. Let's see. So we still got 4 folks watching. Right on. French says, I'll take Lafroy. Okay, Lafroy 10. Donner Pass. I had small taste of the Ardbeg 10. We'll get one at some point. Lots of smoke with more subtle flavors behind the chag. Yeah, speaking of those subtle flavors, having this sitting in the glass. I mean, it's the neck pour, so like hasn't oxidized enough. And yeah, vanilla fruitiness too. There's like, it's almost like a slightly tropical fruit. I'm still not, my nose hasn't adjusted enough yet to get past the smoke. The smoke is still kind of center stage for me. It's so good though. God. Yeah, if you twisted my arm and made me choose between the Lafroy or the Ardbeg, God, I think I might lean for the Ardbeg. 10. Yeah. And they got great presentation too. Like, they don't have their new stuff. They try to get really, they get kind of gaudy with the way that they advertise their stuff. It's a little bit, I don't know. It feels just like overdone and a little cheap. But I just think the standard Ardbeg 10 bottle looks great. They call it the ultimate Isla single malt Scotch whiskey. The ultimate, guaranteed 10 years old, non-chill filtered. Yeah. Okay. The ultimate it is. Anyways, so that's my spiel on Ardbeg. I'll be curious if anybody watching has strong opinions one way or the other on the Ardbeg versus Lafroy. It looks like French Keister. I'd love to hear about that name, buddy. Is a Lafroy 10 over the Ardbeg 10. I need more convincing than just a declarative statement. But it's nice to have Ardbeg 10 again. It just doesn't disappoint. I have a fly in here that I keep trying to kill. I don't know how this thing got in here. Anyways, yeah. So I'm definitely going to enjoy this Ardbeg 10 for a while. I'll probably stick on live for a little bit longer. We got a couple folks still watching, which is great. Feel free to hop in the chat if you're watching live. Keep the conversation going. I'll be curious though. I admit that I'm sort of a sucker for those committee releases. I do kind of try to chase them down every year. It's just fun more than anything. I was hesitant this year with the Ardbeg drum just because I thought basically they're just using really young whiskey. I mean, I can't imagine it's 10 years old and then just doing these finishes on it. The drum is it's like a rum finish, an undescript rum finish. That first taste is great, but like, boy, by 3 or 4 tastes, you're just like, okay, whatever. It's just nothing special. And they're expensive. Unlike the Lafroy Carchis, which, they do every year, you can get a Carchis for, $70 to $80. Usually the Ardbeg committee releases are upwards of $120, $130. I mean, that's a lot more. For a non-age statement whiskey. I think that they should take a page from Lefroy's book. So a couple of the last Lefroy Cartridge releases. So the one this year is a cast strength version of the Lefroy Triple Wood. And not last year, but 2 years back, the Lefroy, they did a cast strength version of the quarter cask. I mean, I think Ardbeg should look at doing do a cast strength 10. That would be a good community release. I mean, the Ugadal and the Corey Vrecken are close to 10 years old already, but are close to cast strength already. But a cast strength 10, the Lefroy 10 cast strength is my favorite Lefroy that they do, and I think an Ardbeg 10 cast strength, of course. I think folks who are into this stuff would be all over it. It's interesting how this is changing now. The smoke kind of has moved aside a bit. And now it's just like seaweed, just earthy, vegetal, also citrus, lemon, lime even. There's like a creamy vanilla. It's fantastic stuff. I just can't beat it. I'm still hung up on this color thing, though. I'm just really surprised that it doesn't say natural color on it. I feel like they've changed they might have subtly changed the box or something. Because I swear that it said natural color on it in the past. I just don't understand why they would take that off. That just seems like a weird thing. Why wouldn't you want to make sure that you're telling everybody that you're, unlike most distillers, you're not adding, caramel colorant or whatever to your whiskey if you're not, This seems like something you'd be proud of advertising with everybody. I think that that's what's interesting about this also is how consistent it seems. They haven't added, I don't feel like it's lost any of its consistency. Like I said, this is probably the 4th or 5th bottle I've ever had of this. And I don't feel like it's added any or made any or lost any batch variations. I think it's been really consistent. At least in the last couple of years I've had it. Oh, got some chats. The lighter peat I really like has been Ardbeg 10. They have a cast strength version I want to get next. Ardbeg 10. Donner, I don't know if I've had a Ben Ardbeg before. I can't think of any Ben Ardbegs I've had. That's one of those distilleries that I've just not got into yet. I didn't even know they did a peated version, let alone lighted. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. That sounds really good. Pete says, Kalila add color, question mark? Does Kalila add color? So the only Kalila I've had is the sip of the 18 and the 12. I don't know if they add color or not. I think it's very possible. I don't know if they don't chill filter either. That would be something we can look up. Let's see here. Kalila 12. I think that the Kalila 12 is kind of the main Kalila. That is their kind of flagship. Not really sure about Kalila 12. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think they do add color, unfortunately. And I think they might chill filter too. So I'm not sure, Pete, if you ever find out any more information on the Kalila 12 than that, be sure to pass it on to us because I don't know off the top of my head. Donner Pass says, and the Cult of Springbank, of course, good stuff. Oh, yeah. Have you had a chance to have the Springbank 12 cast strength yet, Donner? If you have, yeah. Seldom do you find the Springbank 12 cast strength is otherworldly. If you get the opportunity to ever buy that, regardless of the release, do it. I am a big fan of the Springbank 10. I think that's a really good one. But the 12 cast strength is just out of this world. The only other Springbank I've had some of the stuff that's like I've had some of the Hazelburn, which is their like, you know, triple distilled stuff. I guess it's not really a Springbank, but the Hazelburn 13 Oloroso is really, really good. They have a 15 that I've never had, mostly just because it's hard to find. And then I think the Springbank 18, God, it's just too expensive. It's like $180 or something like that. That's just way too much for an 18-year-old. Well, I'm not for an 18-year-old, but I have to be really choosy with buying whiskeys that are in that price range, and Springbank 18 is just not quite risen up to the list yet. Whiskey Ace. Whiskey Ace is in the house. Yo, what up from Louisville, Kentucky? Hey, man, cheers. Nice to see you. Are you heading out on the Bourbon Trail, Whiskey Ace, or is that where home base is for you? I don't recall. I remember we chatted for a while, a couple months back, but I don't remember if you said you're living there. But either way, man, great to see you. Donner passes. Yeah, that's what got me into the cult. Oh, are you talking about the Springbank 10 or the Springbank 12 caster? I'm going to assume it was the 12 caster because that stuff is next level. I'm actually going to do a review of last year's cast strength. The thing about the Springbank cast strength too is you can get it. 12 CS, yeah. You can get it for under $100, which is just amazing. Like you pay for the quality that you get out of Springbank, you know. But you don't always. That's what I was saying. The one you don't always, find the Springbanks that you want readily available. So one of the ones that I've been having my eye out for, so they have this local barley series. And so here in PA, where I am now, I'm in Philadelphia. It is all state-run liquor stores. So, if you don't want to drive across the river and go into New Jersey or go south into Delaware, those being the closest two states to where I am, you have to order from their online store, or you go to one of their shops, and they're all the same. It's called Find One Good Spirits. They have the Springbank 10 local barley. It's $160. I saw that and was just like, what? Like, why would anybody pay that much for 10-year-old of anything? Apparently and I didn't know this, but Springbank's been doing these limited edition local barleys for a couple of years now. They did a 16, they did a 9, there's an 11, and then there's this 10, and I think they're going to do one more. And, I'm always torn with places like Springbank because any of the Campbelltown places, because they do it, quote unquote, right. They do all their stuff. So you want to support them, but man, $130 or $160 for a 10-year-old? Wow. I would love to try it. That's like, I just feel like it would be hard to pull the trigger on that. Okay, so Pete says, love the 15. Oh, if you're talking about the Springbank? I have not had the Springbank 15. I've had a couple different ones. 12 cask strength, the 12 or 13 green, which was a really interesting one, and the 10. Those are the only Springbanks I've had. But I want to have all the Springbanks. Donner Pass, Springbank is pricey. It's family owned, and they do everything in-house. Not many make all their own barley anymore. You are 100% correct, Liddy. That is exactly why you like Spring. I like supporting them. It's just that, man, some of that stuff is too pricey. I'm just being real. Some of it's just too pricey. But one of these days maybe I'll splurge and buy the Springbank 18. I just feel like I can't go through life without at least trying a higher aged Springbank. And yeah, I mean, they take serious pride in their whole, everything is bottled at the right ABV. They never put any color in their stuff. They never chill filter any of their stuff. It's exactly what you want. I'd be curious if anybody here has had any of that local barley series and can convince me that buying that local 10 is worth it, because I really want it. I really want to try it, but man, that's a lot. That's a lot. Whiskey Ace, you're back in the action. Video isn't working yet for me. Okay, it's on. Yes. Hey, Rabbit. Hey, what's up, man? Nice to see you. Hope everything's good with you, buddy. Raise a glass to you, Slancha. It's been a little while. I got to try some cool whiskeys earlier. Yeah, I saw that. You said that you're in Louisville, Kentucky. Are you doing the Bourbon Trail, or are you living there? If it's the Bourbon Trail, I mean, either way, super cool. But I was in Louisville to do the Bourbon Trail 2.5 months ago. I was out there. My stepdad, it was his 70th. A few months prior, it was his 70th birthday, and so a whole bunch of folks in our family, he's always wanted to do the Bourbon Trail, so we took him on the Bourbon Trail. We stopped at a lot of places too. So we stayed in Louisville. We did Michter's, Old Forester, and then a bunch of places outside there. We did Willett, Wild Turkey. We didn't do the tour at all these places. These are just places we stopped. We did the tour, the full tour at Buffalo Trace, which was amazing. We did the Buffalo Trace tour. We did, Wild Turkey. We stopped at Four Roses, Jim Beam, Heaven Hill. It was great. It was a super great time. I have a couple more thoughts on it. I'll share. There's a bunch of folks in the chat. Whiskey Ace, I'd love to hear what you got to try earlier. You said you got to try some whiskeys. Jim G. Hey, Jim, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Raise a glass to you, man. Slancha. Doing a little Ardbeg 10 right now. So raise a glass to you wherever you're at, my friend. He says, I've had the 10 local barley. It's very good, but now 150 good. Okay, see, that's what I thought. The PA liquor store has it for 160, but you also have to order it online and have it shipped. So it's like another $15. So you end up paying, it's like 175 or something. I just can't do it. And I'm a Springbank fan, but okay, I'm definitely taking your word on this one. This is one of those that, I'm going to run into somebody someday who's got bottles of it, and we'll share a sample. But I couldn't pull the trigger with that much money for a 10-year-old. It's just 10. I can't do that. But I commend them for what they're doing. I mean, Springbank. I don't think there's anything that they've ever done that I was disappointed in. So I can't imagine that it's a bad whiskey in any stretch. It's just that price is just a little bit hefty. Whiskey Ace says, visiting my grandma, where I live down the Bourbon Trail, but I've done the Bourbon Trail a few times, and I'll probably hit a couple places. Oh, cool, man. That's a good place to have family. The BT grounds smell amazing. Best angel share at BT. ET Ground. Oh, Buffalo Trace. Yeah, man. Buffalo Trace was awesome. We did the whole immersive tour there. It was so cool. We also did the tour at Willett. Willett was a cool tour as well. The thing about the Bourbon Trail, and I don't know if this is a critique as much as just like a ignorant comment, because I probably should have known this going into it. You know, you get this idea that like you're going to be able to go to these distilleries, and they're going to have something unique, you know, or they're going to have like a pick version of something or something really cool that like you're not going to be able to find in stores. By and large, that was not the case anywhere we went. It wasn't the case at Buffalo Trace. I mean, they didn't have some like special Blantons that you could pick up or something, or you know, anything like that. Jim Beam, same thing. Beam had a Knob Creek. They had a Knob Creek rye pick. You know, okay, they had a Knob Creek rye pick. Whatever. You can find those everywhere. Now, it would be cool to have one from the distillery, and the price was fair, but, you know, they didn't have anything that was super interesting. Four Roses was another one. So, you know, Four Roses has all those single barrel strengths where they have different mash bills. And, you know, you can find them around a lot of liquor stores do them. Sometimes you can find really good aged ones. Four Roses gift shops, they had one barrel pick. It wasn't even that old. It was like a 9-year, 2 months or something like that. It was overpriced, and it was not. It was an OBSV. It wasn't even like a batch that is, you know, super unique or interesting to find. So that was disappointing. Wild Turkey, they didn't have anything either, except they had two picks. They had a Kentucky Spirit single barrel Wild Turkey pick, which was a barrel selected by Eddie Russell. And then they had a Russell's Reserve pick that was picked by Eddie Russell. The thing was, the Kentucky Spirit, which is like a $45 bottle of whiskey, maybe $50 if you get a store pick somewhere, $75 for the Eddie Russell barrel pick. I bought it. I totally bought it. But I was like, come on, man, $75? I hope it's good. I'm going to open it someday, relatively soon, probably. So I hope it ends up being really good. But I was just a little bit miffed at that. And like at Willett too, right? I mean, you thought you'd maybe walk in and you'd get lucky and you'd have like some 8-year-old Willett Ryes on the shelf or something. Like, it was just not the case. So Michter's had some good tastings, but not a lot of bottles for sale. Old Forester didn't have the birthday bourbon, which I think is the only thing of real note there. They were all cool places to visit. It was totally worth it. I didn't get to go to nearly all the places I would have wanted to. I'd love to go back. But I will say that, like, if you go in with an attitude of, oh boy, like, I'm going to find some, you know, it's going to be the land of milk and honey. You're going to be able to find all these things that you haven't been able to get your hands on. You're going to be disappointed because they don't put that much out. So I'm going to catch up on the chat here real quick. That's my summation of the Bourbon Trail, and maybe some of y'all have had different experiences. But Whiskey Ace, we tried Bardstown Bourbon Company Fusion, Four Roses Small Batch Select, Peerless Rye 3 and Bourbon, Single Barrel New Riff Rye. Wow. At Buffalo Trace? No, those aren't Buffalo Trace. Where did you try those? Yeah, Buffalo Trace doesn't have anything special. Right. Yeah, they did. I could have pointed you in that right direction. Yeah, man. Jeez, I should have talked to you about this. Four Roses, Willett, Heaven Hill are better options. Wild Turkey for single barrels. Yeah, man, you know what's up. You know the trail better than I do, that's for sure. Geez, 75, probably great though. I mean, it has to be, right? It's an Eddie Russell pick. I actually think I might have it here. Hang on just 1 second. I have it up here. Ah, damn, I don't. Shit. I have it in the bunker. Otherwise, I'd have them on and just crack it open right now. Another night. Yeah, it's $75, man. I was like, highway robbery. Totally highway robbery. But what can you do? I mean, I had to bring something back from the Bourbon Trail that was relatively unique. And I love wild turkey, so I went with the Kentucky Spirit. They did have a Russell's Reserve single barrel as well, but frankly, I don't love the Russell stuff nearly as much as I love their standard release stuff. The Russell's rye I like more, but the Russell's 10 and the Russell's single barrel, not my favorite. It's just not my favorite. I mean, to each his own, but what I find generally is that cotton candy kind of cherry note in there is just a little bit overpowering on the Russells for me. Let's see here. G75 probably. Yeah. The new Four Roses sleek small batch sounds like it's good since Donner Pass. The Select. I haven't had the Select. That was just kind of rolled out when I was there. They did have the Select in the gift shop now that I think about it. But I think it's somewhat available on the shelves too. I don't recall what was special about that. Were they adding something that was aged to the Select, or was it? Yeah, I'm not sure. So Four Roses usually has multiple private selects available as whiskeys. Yeah, that's what I was expecting, man. But what I found was they had two picks, and it was like they had an OBSV and they had an OESV and an OBSV. That was it. Like they didn't even have. Or no, I'm wrong. They had an OESV recipe and they had an OBSF. But they weren't that old. They were 8 year, 9 months, and there was a 9 year 2 month for like $80. Hard pass. You can find those cheaper at that age, in my opinion. Whiskey's Heaven Hill has some good high end stuff that's pretty exclusive. Really, shit. I wonder if I missed. I went into the Heaven Hill gift shop, but I didn't do the tour, and I don't recall what they all had, to be honest with you. I was looking for some weird Elijah Craig stuff because I'm an Elijah Craig fanboy, but they did not have. I don't recall if they had any Elijah Craigs there that were stuff I couldn't find anywhere else. I tried those as a liquor store bro. Oh man, that's another thing. So my brother is much more of a bourbon head than me. I love bourbon, but I'm more of a single malt Scotch guy. So we drove around. We spent one night in Louisville. We just drove around hitting up every liquor store we went by. From the grungiest, shittiest looking place to the most ornate, fancy looking place we could find. We just drove around in a freaking rainstorm. This was like on a Saturday night. It was the last night we were there in Kentucky. Hitting up the shops. We're like, oh man, it's Louisville. It's Kentucky Bourbon Trail. We're going to walk in. They're going to have shelves full of Wellers, or they're going to have whatever. We didn't find anything of note. There was one place that my brother, I think he either found it was like an E.H. Taylor or a New Riff. I don't recall what it was. There was one place that had some stuff on a top shelf that was like, okay, but like we went to probably, I'm not even gonna lie, we went to a dozen stores. And there was just nothing to be found. So this whole idea that, the Kentucky liquor stores would just be filled with great bourbon because, of course, all the shit's made 5 blocks away. That was not the experience we had, at least in Louisville. Whiskey A says, $11 for that tasting. Oh, are you talking about the one you mentioned earlier with the Four Roses Blood? Or no. The Bardstown Bourbon Company Fusion Small Batch Select Peerless Rye and the Single Barrel Riff. $11. Wow, that's a good deal, buddy. Single barrel Russells I got at Wild turkey was amazing. Word. Yeah, I because of the price, I just couldn't buy both. But I took the Kentucky Spirit, and so hopefully I'll check that out soon. This message is held for review. Whiskey is Kentucky Spirit is good shit. Yeah, why is it blocking this? Yeah, it is good shit. I think the Kentucky Spirit is great. I think that all of Wild Turkey stuff that I've had has been good. I've had the 101, of course. I've had the 81. All right, forget it. Maybe I'm wrong. The 81 is like hit or miss. It's worthless to me. Why buy the 81 when you can get the 101? It's not even that much cheaper. It's like $1 or $2 cheaper, if that. I have had the Wild Turkey Tribute, which is like a ridiculous. I won it in a guy who had it. It's like an $8,000 bottle of Wild Turkey or something like that. He was giving away a free sample, and I won it. It was amazing. I've had the Rare Breed, which I think is probably their best release. I've had the Kentucky Spirit, which is really freaking great. And I've had the Long Branch, which I thought was good. I'd like to try the Unforgiven, which is one that has rye into it, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. So I'm keeping my eyes for that. As far as the like decades, the decades stuff, I have not had the opportunity to try that. That stuff's a little bit too expensive for me, but one of these days I'll run into it, I'm sure. Donner passes at Whiskey Ace. Is the party source in Kentucky? They seem to have a lot and do tastings from what I see in their videos. I'm not sure. What does that say? Whiskey Ace 4 Roses small batch select. Okay, I didn't buy it after I tried it. It wasn't bad, but it didn't wow me like single barrel private selection do, so I passed on them all. Yeah, I think if that's exactly right. I think if you have the option, you can only buy one. Why would you buy the small batch? When I think 4 Roses, the best stuff you can get from them. I recently had an OESV batch, 4 Roses barrel that was 10 years, 4 months, which was just, I got it like 70. It's amazing. But it went way too fast. I should have bought more. Liquor stores can be hit and miss. And I've been able to find that people were saying stuff was sold out. So you're talking about Louisville. Yeah. It was mostly missed for me, but it totally makes sense. Kentucky Spirit changed the bottle design. It kind of yeah, man. So it sucks. I did a review. I have a review posted of the Kentucky Spirit. I have a store pick, but the one that I got from Wild Turkey, that's the pick, the Eddie Russell barrel pick, is the new bottle, which just looks like the Rare Breed bottle, except it's got gold on it. I don't like the rebranding. The old bottle, which looked like the turkey, is awesome. I wish they wouldn't have got rid of it, but sadly they did. Yeah, it looks like Rare Breed, exactly. Love the Rare Breed, though. Yeah, totally. Me too. Rare Breed is, I think, the best thing Wild Turkey makes, at least in terms of accessible stuff. Pete says, Party Source. Yeah, Party Source. Whiskey Ace says to Donner Pass. I think Party Source is nearby. Laws here allow liquor stores to do samples and tastings. Righteous. Donner Pass at Whiskey Ace. That is so cool. Would love to be able to sample at source. So I actually was just at a place recently that sorry, one moment. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, so I'll show you what I got, among other things. As I was saying, I have this issue with PA that PA is just absurd. It's all state run. So, you know, you can't find everything you want. But I had one of those great moments, gents. You go into a shop, you know, the owner greets you, chats you up, you get into great conversations about whiskey. He took me into his back room. He showed me all the stuff that he has that he didn't have out on the shelf. He's got just a shop. You wouldn't know it was a honeypot type store based on the outside, but it's a great place. He had a ton of great single malts, and he had a couple barrels that he bought. One of which was this. It was selected for a group that he's part of called the South Jersey Bourbon Drinkers. It's a barrel rye. This is a 13-year-old Canadian rye bottled at 63.17% ABV. Even got a little Homer Simpson graphic on the back. It's freaking awesome. I had a drink of this, so it's a cast strength Canadian rye. I had never had anything in barrel before. In fact, this might be the next thing I put. I don't know. I might have torched my palate a little bit with the Ardbeg, but we'll see. But he was one of those shops, man. He had a couple different things that he bought, or barrels that he had bought. He took me over to the side. He had a little tiny bar set up, poured some samples. I tried a single barrel rum that he had from a barrel he had selected. I tried this rye. He had a couple other things. It was just great. It was a great experience. Super cool guy. You know, the kind of guy you want to give your money to because he knows his stuff. He likes chatting. He knew the kind of good stuff to buy. I mean, he didn't have just your standard crap on his shelf. He had Kilkerran. He had like 5 or 6 Kilkerrans. Well, maybe not that many. It was like 3 or 4 Kilkerrans, one of which was the heavily peated batch 1, which I grabbed. He had just a bunch of scotches that, you know, he knew that the kind of people he wants walking in there are people that are like looking for, you know, not just there to buy a Chivas Regal 12 or something like that, or a Johnny Walker Black. So he had a lot of stuff in stock. He had a 34-year-old or a 37-year-old Brora in his back room. I didn't even ask him how much it was, but I was tempted to. Really cool guy. And so he sold me on this barrel rye, which, as you can tell, I've had a taste of, and it's freaking amazing. Anyways, we still got 6 folks on. Right on, man. Glad everybody's having a good time tonight. It's cool to see everyone. Pete says, party source. Oh, no, we saw that already. Downer past the whiskey ace. That would be so cool. I'd love to be able to sample this. Okay, yeah, that's what we were talking about. Sorry, I'm make sure I'm staying ahead of things here. Whiskey ace says, yeah, man. I tried like 50 whisks or so for $11. That's stupid. How does that even happen? $11. Damn. It's great for a consumer. Yeah, totally. Especially if they have private selections, then you really know what you're getting or missing. Exactly, man. Yeah. And that's exactly what was the case with these, with this barrel that I bought, and with the rum that I didn't buy the rum, but I was tempted to. He just poured little samples of it. Super cool about it. Whiskey Ace is at Rabbit. Hey, I'm living in PA. Where are you in PA, man? I didn't know you lived in Pennsylvania. Fuck, you might be closer to me than I thought. Barrel picks are pretty awesome. Nice try, everyone. Yeah, cheers, man. You know what? Normally I wouldn't do this after having a peated malt. Fuck it. Still got a nice pop. Full disclosure, man, this is one of the best rides. This might be the best ride I've ever had. It's going to do a little bit. It's unbelievable. 13. He was selling this for $99.99. 13-year-old. Cast strength. Absurd. Oh, man. All right. Whiskey Ace says they had Kilkerran cast strength 8-year-old for $80. They had it was cheaper than that. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 Kilkerrans. He had one of the work in progresses, which was he was selling for like 87. He had the 12, which was 60, 68, 69. He had the 8, which he was selling for 74, and then he had the heavily peated, which he was selling for 73. I bought the heavily peated from the Peat and Progress Series batch one. Spoiler alert! I think I'm gonna be reviewing it soon, but it's good. I was super tempted to buy that. I never had Kilkerran. Man, the way I would put it is like Kilkerran. It's in the Campbelltown tradition. Like it's made super well. Non-chill filtered, no color. The peated stuff, all of it's a little bit peated. The 12 is the one that I really, really liked. I have not had the 8 cast strength, but the Peat in Progress heavily peated. I mean, it's like a 3.5, which is absurdly young, but it's really, really good. So I recommend that one. I think the 8 cast strength is probably worth it, depending on how much it is. But I think you'd love it. I mean, it's well-crafted stuff. You still get a little bit of that, like, well, I don't know what it'll be on the 8 cast strength. You get a little bit of that, like, dusty, dunnage, warehousey funk that you get off Springbank, even in the Kilkerrans. It's good stuff. Whiskey Ace says, Robin Red, Pittsburgh. Okay, so you're in Pittsburgh. You're up in Pittsburgh. Right on, man. Yeah, I don't even know how far that is. I haven't been here long enough to know the distances of it yet. I am in I'm in Philly. Said, yeah, you visit once. Shit, man. If you're ever down here, feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my email here. I think you might have it, but if you don't, feel free to email me, man. If you're ever coming to Philly for any reason, man, it'd be awesome to hit up to get together and share a few drams or something. If you can do a live stream or something, it might be fun. There's a couple good whiskey bars here in Philly. I haven't got to explore too much yet, but there's a few spots. 5 hours. Yeah, okay. I've been to Pittsburgh, but it was quite brief. I don't know much about the city. But if I ever make it up that way, I'll get right back at you. Shit. This is stupid good. Even at 63%, it's drinkable without water. God, man. 13-year rye. And I got lucky on this one. And it's damn good. It is just full, like, I don't know if any of you, I think the only thing I would ever explore or I would ever compare it to would be like Michter's, like the Michter's 10 rye, where it seems to me that as the rye, much like with peat, as it gets older with a rye, you end up with like it takes more of a backseat, and it's just, damn, the caramel, the oak cask influence, like rounds it out and just gives you this like full viscosity. The spice is still there, but it's not so young and forward, like spirity, like you get on a lot of rye whiskeys. That's exactly what's going on with this rye. It's wrapped up in just like this chocolatey, caramely, like it's just with a little bit of rye spice in it. It's fantastic. Just fantastic. I wish I could have bought more of these. It's just so good. I mean, I don't know. A 13-year-old, my general philosophy with bourbons and stuff is like much beyond 15, 16 years old, you end up like, it's just too oaky. This is like in that sweet spot. Skies salad, cool. I've mostly just explored the food and beer scene in Philly. Oh yeah, man. There's no shortage of that. It's really, really good. The food scene here is awesome. I'm just scratching the surface. Donner Pass says, signing off. Thanks for hanging out with us today, Donner Pass, man. Hey, it's been great chatting with you tonight. Thanks for stopping by. Cheers. We'll cut you down the road. We'll probably sign off here in a little bit, too. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark. Probably push it to close to 2 hours. But yeah, I mean, I've had some bourbons that, one in particular I think of is the Rhetoric, that Orphan Barrel Rhetoric. It's like a 24-year-old bourbon. Man, bourbons at that age, in that 20 years, it's just so oaky. And either you're watering it down to try to make it palatable, or you barrel it as is, and some people are into it. I'm just personally not. I've had the Elijah Craig. My brother, who is, like I mentioned earlier, is a big bourbon head. He has the Elijah Craig 23. He has the Elijah Craig 18. The 18 was okay. The 23 I was just like, man. Especially for it's like a $200-some bottle or something. No, thank you. No, thank you. Give me an Elijah Craig barrel proof any day over that. Any day. It's just a much superior product. That 12 to 15 years is like the primo spot for bourbon, in my opinion. Anything beyond that might be pushing it a little. I don't know as much about rye. I've had plenty of ryes, but I have not spent a lot of time reading about them or getting to know it. But like, I can tell you based on this barrel rye here, at 13 years, it's a sweet spot. It's definitely a sweet spot. It's a good one. So Whiskey Ace, man, I assume Whiskey Ace says cheers to Donner Pass. Oh yeah, cool. Whiskey, I'm assuming that you do the same thing. I mean, being in PA, you do the fine wines, good spirits stuff. I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience with just like navigating the PA system, because people bag on state-run liquor places, and like I do agree that like there are some issues regarding like the variety of things you can get. But when I lived in DC, I lived right across the river from Virginia, which is all state-run as well. But you go to the state-run liquor stores, and they're selling Elijah Craig barrel proofs for $60. You go to a lot of private shops, you ain't gonna find it that cheap. Like those state-run liquor stores down there, like had a decent amount of variety, maybe not the most, but their price is fair, across the board fair. So I'd be curious what your experience has been here, Ace, in PA. Like, I'm still trying to get my bearings on kind of how the whole thing works. I went into 2 of the fine wines, good spirits, or whatever it's called, and like I was pretty disappointed. But it seems like there's standard stores, and then there's also like more exclusive release stores. I don't know how it works yet. I'm trying to figure it out. And basically by figuring out, I mean driving over to New Jersey and finding places that make sense to me. Whiskey says, I dig young rye. Bourbon like 8 to 12 years, but I'm still interested in exploring all of it. Yeah. That's right around the sweet spot for me with bourbon too. I like young ryes as well. There's a time and a place for those like really spicy rye forward. Couple of them that I really like. I love the Willet 3 Family Estates 3-year, the Willet Family Estates 4, even the 2, both really good. I love Lot 40. Lot 40, I have not been able to have the cast strength, which is really unfortunate because I would love to get that, but you can't get that anywhere in the States. The regular Lot 40 you can though. Great rye. Russell's Reserve makes a good rye. Which other ones do I really like? Man, the George Dickel rye is solid, especially for cocktails. You know, Rittenhouse rye is really good, but the Dickel rye, I think it's also at like 50%. Man, but it's cheaper than the Rittenhouse, and great for cocktail. I think the Dickel rye is one of those unheralded ryes out there. I've not had the Wild Turkey rye, but I'd love to hear any ryes that you're big fans of. Oh, Pikesville rye is pretty good. The Fine Wines website has decent variety, but your more immediate option would be to drive to New Jersey, New York. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. So I went down to Delaware once. Delaware's just pricey. Jersey's got some decent spots, like right across the street or across the Delaware River here is Camden and Cherry Hill and a bunch of other spots in Jersey that I've been slowly exploring. Look for a premium store. Okay, so there's Fine Wines, Good Spirits, and then there's Fine Wine, Good Spirits premium shops. So I went to one in downtown Philly, and I think it was a premium shop because they had Elijah Craig Barrel Proof at a really good price too, on the shelf. So I was able to grab a bottle to add to my increasingly growing collection of Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs. I have more of those. Like if I see them for a good price, it's just like an allergic reaction. I just grab and buy. Like I need to have this, even though I may have 4 or 5 of the same batch already. It's just like, you know, are you ever gonna not want that? Speaking of. Down the hatch goes the barrel rye. Man, that's a treat. I'm going to have to bag up some samples of this for some folks. Whiskey, I don't know if you do samples or not, but we should connect via email. I'd love to mail you some stuff, and I'm sure you probably have some things that you'd love to share as well. We could probably swap a few samples, including a sample of this. All right, y'all. Premium stores get good stuff. Check the website. You can locate what stores have the stock. Okay, I got to look at this premium store situation. I didn't realize that there was a difference, so I'm going to copy this note here. If you sign up, you can receive an email notification for lottery and special release items. Perfect. That's exactly what I need. Awesome. All right, man. It is just past midnight. Glad everybody could join. It was cool to hang out with you all folks tonight. I'm going to sign off for the rest of the evening. Yeah, Ace, hit me up on email, man, and just say hi to make sure I have your email. We can talk about swapping some samples. It's cool to hang out with everybody tonight. I hope you all have a great Labor Day weekend. You know, I'll catch you next time. Probably do another live stream sometime in the next coming weeks. I'm going to be abroad for the next week or so. I'm going to be in Dublin and London, so I'm going to try and pick up a couple things over there to bring back and share my dumb 2 cents in a review about them with you. So, all right, you guys. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.